There aren't many things that Donald Trump is very good at, but one of the things he does excel at is how he weaponizes the media against us. Everybody knows that he is very good at spinning up a lie, repeating it over and over again, and then all of a sudden you've got 30 to 35% of the country who is believing in said lie. And he doesn't only do this to bend the truth. This is the same strategy he uses to push against the norms and the boundaries of what is acceptable in our democratic system. So he can just go in front of the camera and declare that he has absolute authority to do this or that, and then all of a sudden you've got a third or more of the country who believes that he has that authority. So when people try to say Donald Trump is doing some great thing by giving media interviews all the time, I kind of look at it through that lens, where Donald Trump is weaponizing the media against our country, against our republic. I mean, just listen to the way that he answers this question about whether or not he plans to defy a court order that says he needs to rehire thousands of federal employees. If you guys do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe.
Do you plan to comply with the judge's order regarding rehiring the federal workers?
What are you talking about?
The Clinton appointee judge that ruled that the federal government has to rehire the fired federal workers. Do you plan to comply
Well,
with
I think it's absolutely. I have nothing to do with that other than I heard about the decision. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely. It's a judge that's putting himself in the position of the President of the United States, who was elected by close to 80 million votes. And you have that. You're having more and more of that. It's a very dangerous thing for our country. And I would suspect that we're going to have to get a decision from the Supreme Court. That's a very dangerous decision for our country. These are people, in many cases, they don't show up for work. Nobody even knows if they exist. And a judge wants us to pay them even if they don't know they exist. If they exist. And I don't think that's going to be happening. But
So Donald Trump is just lying to you here. This is how the system is actually supposed to work. If the president steps out of line and does something that is unlawful, the judiciary is supposed to step in and say, hey, you can't do that. But instead of, kind of letting people know that is how the system works and we are preparing a defense so we can fight back in court, Donald Trump just goes on to slander the judge and says, well, I got 80 million votes, guys, so I should be able to do whatever the hell I want. And instead, this judge, well, he's just trying to usurp my power, when that is just not how the system works. And then he wants you to believe that the judge is trying to rehire a whole bunch of people that don't exist, so the government continues to pay people that don't exist. I mean, Donald Trump, he's just so shameless. And because there is no fidelity to the truth, he can just say whatever it is that he wants to say. And unfortunately, unless there are people pushing back against this nonsense, people start believing this stuff. Here he is talking about he invoked the Alien Enemies Act to deport hundreds of undocumented immigrants.
There's been some criticism that the Alien Enemies Act has only been invoked 3 other times. They were all during times of war. Do you feel that you're using it appropriately right now?
well, this is a time of war because Biden allowed millions of people, many of them criminals, many of them at the highest level. They emptied jails out. Other nations emptied their jails into the United States. That's an invasion. And these are criminals, many, many criminals, murderers, drug dealers at the highest level, drug lords, people from mental institutions. That's an invasion. They invaded our country. So this isn't, in that sense, this is war. In many respects, it's more dangerous than war because
So now he wants you to believe that because we have undocumented immigrants coming across the border, that somehow we are being invaded, which is completely contrary to all of the facts on the ground. We know that border crossings have fallen off a cliff over the past year. But because Donald Trump wants to give himself this new wartime power, he has to make up some story about how we are currently under attack by all of these immigrants. And then he's trying to force the rest of us to live in his fraudulent reality. I mean, this is just insidious. This is the work of an authoritarian. He's giving himself more power to carry out things that he wants to do. And because a judge is stepping in and slapping it down and saying, hey, you can't do that, he needs the American people to believe that he does have the authority. They then go on to talk about the tariffs and how they're going to be implemented on April 2nd.
As markets and consumers continue reacting to tariffs, as markets and consumers react to tariffs, do you have any inclination to create exceptions or to ease up on any?
About what?
To create exceptions to the steel and aluminum tariffs.
No, I have no intention of it, no.
Is this your economy?
April 2nd is a liberating day for our country. We're going to be getting back some of the wealth that very, very foolish presidents gave away because they had no clue what they were doing. And April 2nd, I would have made it April 1st, but you know what April 1st is? April Fool's Day. I figured, I don't like doing it, but I made it April 2nd. But it's a liberation day for our country because we're going to be getting back a lot of the wealth that we so foolishly gave up to other countries.
Yeah, he's still going on with this lie about how tariffs are going to make our country wealthy again. Now, this is an actual lie that I don't think the American people are buying this time. We are seeing that the markets are going crazy. We are seeing CEOs coming out and saying that these are terrible, terrible, terrible for our businesses. And so this is an actual lie that he continues to try to sell, but the American people, I don't think, are actually buying it. But because he needs to cast this confidence into the system, and because he is not going to back down, because maybe it would make him look a little bit weak if he pulled back on these tariffs, he will continue with this lie because he will be implementing those tariffs on April 2nd. Now, will they stick around? We don't necessarily know, but for whatever reason, he is committed to this idea. And because of that, he will repeat this over and over and over and over and over again to try to sell it to the American people. They then move on to talk about, whether he owns this economy now. Because as you guys know, he's just been blaming Biden for all of these bad economic indicators.
You talked about the hangover from the Biden economy. Is this your economy now?
Certain things are. Certainly tariffs are, which we've already taken in billions of dollars. We've taken in already billions of dollars, and we haven't even really started the program other than certain areas, certain pinpointed areas, as you know. And many billions of dollars have already come into our country. And the big money is coming in on April 2nd, from April 2nd. But I will tell you what is smart. When I took it over, eggs were through the roof, and now eggs are down 35% over a short period of time. And other things, fuel, gasoline, energy is down, way down. Oil is down to $65 a barrel. It was $82 a barrel. And when energy comes down, pricing is going to come down. So,
let me translate for you. What he is saying is, all of the good things that are happening in the economy, I will take credit for that. But all of the bad things in the economy, well, no, that's not on me quite yet. I didn't do any of that. That's all Biden's fault. That is what he is saying here. Even though egg prices are still sky high right now, maybe they have come down a smidge. They are still epically high. Gas prices are kind of hovering around the same price at the gas pump than they were before. So he doesn't know what he's talking about, but he also ignores the fact that the stock market has been falling off a cliff. He's ignoring the fact that the CEOs are coming out and saying we cannot operate in this business environment. He's ignoring all that because this is what Donald Trump does. He wants you to believe that he's responsible for all the good, but will never take any accountability for any of the bad. Donald Trump is particularly good at this, and this is why the American people grade him on a curve. He just enjoys this perception for whatever reason. They then go on to talk about this one last thing. I meant to pull the Truth Social post up before, but pretty much Trump came out over the weekend and said that Biden's pardons were null and void and that they don't hold any weight and we're going to go after them. That's pretty much what it said. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but listen to him address that.
About the Biden auto pen, are those executive orders, those pardons from the former president now null and void?
I think so. It's not my decision. That'll be up to a court. But I would say that they're null and void because I'm sure Biden didn't have any idea that it was taking place. And somebody was using an auto pen to sign off and to give pardons to, as an example, just one example, but the J6 Unselect Committee. They gave, think of it, they gave pardons with an auto pen. I don't think Biden knew anything about it. And what they did is they deleted and destroyed all of the information that took them over a year to get. And the reason they did that is because the information was very incriminating about them. Like Nancy Pelosi, it was determined conclusively that she knew about 10,000 soldiers and turned it down. And if we used 500 soldiers, you would have had no problem, let alone 10,000. The young lady that said that I grabbed these powerful young Secret Service agents by the neck, okay? You know that was a big hoax, it was a lie. And she admitted it, and they deleted everything.
He's still on about this one too. So let me get this straight. Donald Trump wants you to believe that Biden's pardons are null and void because Trump said they were null and void. And then he follows that up with all of these lies about how the January 6th committee deleted all of the paperwork, all of the investigation, which has just been refuted time and time and time again. But because he wants people to believe that he has this authority to shut off or shut down Biden's pardons, this is what we get. Donald Trump is a bad faith actor in our system. He is weaponizing our media against us. He has become so good at getting in front of the camera, spewing lies, spewing these untruths, spewing these twisting of the facts, twisting of the rules and the norms in our system, just trying to paint a whole new perception of our system, of the reality we live in, and then he uses that as a pretext to do all of this insane stuff. So as much as I hate covering many of these interviews with Donald Trump, we have to be here to push back against this stuff. Because as we have seen, this ecosystem that the right-wing media people have created is super effective at selling a reality that it doesn't even come close to resembling the facts that you and I live with here on Earth. And one of the things that we know about authoritarians, if they come out and are able to spew all these things about how they have the authority to do this or the authority to do that, they got the authority to shut down this, and people start believing them, then that power is kind of just willed into existence. So we've got to come out and let people know that Donald Trump doesn't have the authority to do this. That is why exactly he is being shut down in the courts. But because he wants you to believe that he is a king, he wants you to believe that he is a autocrat of sorts, he weaponizes the media. He comes out and repeats it over and over and over and over and over again. And some of the American people buy it hook, line, and sinker. So we will continue to cover these absolute insane press conferences, whatever the hell you want to call this, because if there's nobody pushing back against Donald Trump's insanity, then a lot of this stuff that he says he can do and will do, he will just be able to do without any pushback at all. And I think that that's an absolute mistake in this moment. So I will leave it there for now, guys. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. Like I've been saying, we've got to build something here on the left that can adequately push back against this right-wing media ecosystem that just shovels shit for Trump every single day. So if you do like what I do here, please do remember to subscribe. If you want to see how Republicans are just telling their voters that they just need to go ahead and shut up and be quiet and they know what is best for them, go ahead and watch that video on the screen now. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.